now like to introduce Professor Don Bursill. Professor Bursill has more than 40 years' experience in the water industry in Australia. For most of that time, he worked for the South Australian Water Corporation as its chief scientist, a position he held for 17 years before stepping down at the end of 2005. His experience was mainly focused on water quality, water treatment and water resources management. He led a national team that was successful in establishing the Cooperative Research Centre for Water Quality and Treatment under the Australian Government's Cooperative Research Centres program, and was CEO of that centre from its commencement in 1995 until retirement in December 2005. Professor Bursill has been Chief Scientist for South Australia since 2011. So welcome, Professor Bursill.
Thank you, Ron. Mr. Hunter, distinguished guests all. Thanks to the organisers for inviting me along today. It's really great to come along and see so many people here to talk about a very important subject. I was a member of the inaugural Premier's Climate Change Council and in fact also a member of Verity Sanders' working group on adaptation, so it was an important part of the Climate Change Council's work while I was there to develop a bit of a blueprint of where we should be heading on adaptation, and it's good to see that momentum still continuing. I thought I might just make I want to make a number of points before Rowan drags me off the podium here, but they might seem a bit disjointed, but I hope in the end we'll see the thread that runs through and the connection to the climate change issue. But firstly, a little bit about the Chief Scientist role. It's a really interesting one. In fact, I've come to appreciate much more how important this role is to our state and the national level. All states have got an equivalent position. To have someone at my vintage with no career aspirations at this point being asked to come in and provide independent advice to the government on science research and innovation is, I think, a very important opportunity for those who have the honour of that position. People think that the role has influence, and I suppose it does in some respects, and so they want to get in your pocket and talk to you about and in your ear about their issues, and you get a very unique opportunity to be able to join the dots up, and lots of good things can come from that. One of which was announced yesterday. I'll get on to it in a moment, but I did want to say that commend the government on maintaining this role and initiating in the first place and maintaining this role, because there is a certain amount of risk in engaging a free spirit to get involved in these sorts of things. It has its downsides possibly. Hopefully I won't expose too many of them this morning. But coming to yesterday's event was one of these dot connecting exercises where Professor Way from Flinders University has been working on some biotechnology, marine biotechnology areas, produced a report for out of the FISA program that only cost the department and the government $20,000 to produce a scoping study on some potential for utilising our almost untouched aspects of our marine resources. And I saw this report and saw a lot of opportunities. He hadn't met some key people or been exposed to some organisations that could assist him. I was able to make those connections, and within only a short 5 months he's been able to bring that forward to the point where yesterday the government announced, the Science Minister, Grace Portalisi, announced a deal being done with China's largest seaweed processing company that are investing almost $500,000 into a research facility at Flinders University and about $20 million into a local company down in the southeastern Beachport to enhance the collection of seaweed that just washes up on the beach there in storms, and adding a lot more value to it than is currently added by a very small operation that's down there. Now, one of the important things was that the chairman and president of that company gave a very interesting address at the signing ceremony. 3 points he made was that he was very pleased to be able to come to this country and engage with our leading science and technology development people in this field to assist with the innovation and productivity and competitive advantage development of his company. This was good to hear. He was honoured to have the opportunity to be able to invest in our research and education facilities at Flinders. And thirdly, he was looking forward to the prospect of contributing to our taxation system. A very interesting point, lost in the translation, I think, but what he was clearly saying was that he believed his company had an obligation to pay a social dividend for the privilege of being able to operate in this country, to do business here, to access our resources and utilise our services. And I wonder how often it is we hear our own local businesses saying how keen they are to pay taxes in this country and return something back to the community. And I also know through the work of Bjorn Rees, who's been very influential in stepping up our state and federal activities on advanced manufacturing, that a lot of our small and medium enterprises in particular are not as ready to embrace science, technology and innovation as we would like, and thereby are really missing opportunities for improving their competitive advantage in a world competitive system. The next point I'd like to move on to really is to try and tackle this hoary question of the seemingly increasing distrust that's developing about science opinion on key issues like climate change. If I was a dictator, I'd probably like to see that we suppressed the view, the negative views that come out in relation to the scientific facts and development. Of course, that's not appropriate or even desirable, really. But I find it very annoying the way, if you look back even, the debates that used to occur over cigarette smoking and its effect on health, and how it's impossible to be able to have certain vested interests engaging scientists to do research that was essentially flawed and fudged, but providing impetus to enable these cigarette companies to continue doing what they're doing and to try and cloud the issue in terms of public opinion on the safety of smoking. And we see this in other areas, certainly in climate change. Now, for me, initially I was wondering, having done geology, whether there was anything really to this climate change issue myself, and in terms of where we are in the geological time frame. But the thing that really swung it for me was recognition of the rate of change of our climate, and that speed of change that's been seen over the last 100 years in particular is unprecedented, except perhaps some 70 million years ago when a large meteor hit the world and resulted in the elimination of the dinosaurs and a lot of other life that's here. Ian Chubb, the National Chief Scientist, has an interesting perspective on the climate change deniers, and I thought I'd share that with you because he points to, he goes through and talks about how we develop our hypotheses and how the science process works, and people can challenge it, you can put up experiments and try and determine whether or not this hypothesis may be valid or not. And as you progress through many of these things, you continue to assemble additional knowledge and facts, and eventually you reject the concept, or it supports the concept. But very rarely are we actually 100% certain of one thing or another. But he said that in the case of climate change, he said, if you were 95% certain, if you continued to move down a certain road, that you'd be hit by a semi-trailer, he said most people might make a decision to change course.
He said, there are some obviously around, unfortunately some in the federal parliament who want to keep walking down that same track until they're 100% sure they're going to be hit by a similar. In my own area, water, there are a couple of areas there which show this very well. The fluoridation debate. Now, having chaired the NHMRC's Water Quality Committee for some 20 years, I am aware that whenever the matter of fluoridation is raised, there's always a pile of papers come in from all over the world telling us that this is all a big conspiracy. The health authorities all around the world are trying to poison us all, and which is a basic tenet of their argument. You can't accept their view unless you accept the view that all of our health authorities are wrong or are deliberately trying to poison us. Fluoridation had been, fluoride in water has been researched so well that it's the one thing in all the water quality guideline values that are there that we can actually be precise enough to specify a decimal point, like 1.5 milligrams per litre. Most other things have got orders of magnitude uncertainty built into them and safety built into them because of our relative lack of understanding of the toxicology and epidemiology, but fluoridation is not in that. So it's hard to see why so much opposition occurs and why there's still so many people in the community who think it's a bad move. And during the drought, the water resources discussion, we had so many people say, I'm going to get involved. What I was really annoyed about was you get up in the morning and read the advertisement. Sometimes some well-established academics who have known the field fairly well and know they've not had any history in water game at all, but see the drought as an opportunity and release press releases regularly, expounding all sorts of rubbish that is inconsistent with the facts. And it did disappoint me that the government wasn't able to put some simple facts out clearly that would have shown everybody that some of these folks were misleading. So I really think that we have experimented once before, humanity has experimented once before in trying to ignore science and facts in favour of doctrine and vested interest. It was called the Dark Ages, and let's hope we're not going back that way. So I do hope that this day will be very successful and that the efforts of a number of really keen people that I see around here that I know will continue to provide a solid foundation for South Australia to move forward to adapt in the future in an innovative way to the challenges and opportunities that climate change is going to provide to us. Thanks.